morning, everyone, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. And we have to immediately give a shout out. Tiffany Bryan is already on. Tiffany,
What?
welcome. Good morning. I know, and I know she's been wanting to make an effort. I know she's been having such a challenge with everything that's going on in her life. So it's been a little harder for her to get on. But I just wanted to let you know that we saw that you were on there. So you beat Milagros, because Milagros, it was always Tiffany Milagros. Tiffany, we didn't know who. So good morning, my dear. Good morning and welcome. It is a Tuesday, April 11th. Welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. I'm Lori Monaco. I am the Badass Buddha coming to you from Southern Connecticut. My blind is down, but I could see the sun peering through. So it's supposed to be a very beautiful day. In fact, the whole week, no rain, some cloudy days, but mostly sunny days. And each day is going to go up more and more in temperature. So right now it's about 42 degrees, but it's supposed to get up to the high 50s, something like that, low 60s. And then by Friday, it's supposed to be like 81 degrees. So this is very, very cool, considering that in our particular area, the kids are off of school. So they got a really good week to be off. So, and welcome everyone.
Well, good. It's exciting, and kind of scary, like especially for spring. I have to take this out. The thing is, I didn't dry my hair during my shower this morning, but the hat seems to be bothering my new glasses. So I'm happy because I'll be in Connecticut at the end of the month for a couple days, and so it's good to know it's going to be warm. Hola, mi gente, aquí con la Margarita, your gladiator guru, here in Florida. And I'm towards the back of the house, so it's not so sunny. The sun isn't shining in as it is on the Badass Buddha's face. But here we are. Happy Tuesday. I'm very excited about the topic today. And Florida's been kind of like windy cool since yesterday, and that right there is an orgasm on its own for me. That it's not a hot breeze and shit, that I actually have to wear a sweater to go outside because it's cool, and I'm liking that. I didn't even check. Let's see how the weather is. It's probably gonna be like, oh no, it's 64 with a high of 82, but right now we'll take what it is. So welcome, Milagros, Tiffany. You know what? It's always they always say don't rush, don't run to the top of the staircase, but take one at a time. And thank you, ladies, for always being that 1-2-1-2 for us when we come on. We appreciate. Not that it's 1-2, it's 1-1, which equals 2. So I'm trying to make it even.
Good point.
So,
Good point.
Bienvenidas a Viva Cafe con Leche.
And so Gladiator Guru and I we usually schedule a Monday call. Most of the time the Monday calls are there to prep for the show. We kind of just flow with the way it goes. And then Fridays we usually set aside time for our own coaching to each other, like going over things and stuff that's come up, things that we've learned, things that we want to share, get a conversation going to see what the thoughts are. And so yesterday was, I think we carved out like 5 minutes to talk about the shows this week. And the rest of the 2.5 hour conversation was just about everything else. It was so funny. It was 2 hours and 23 minutes. We were on the phone. I think the only other person that I've ever spoken that long to, well, no, I think in my lifetime, there's probably people I've spoken too long, but it's been a while, but it was just funny. We covered so many things, and a lot of them did have to do with what we're talking about. So it wasn't like we didn't talk, like prepare at all for the shows this week. But I think the overall preparations comes down to reminding ourselves of what we're doing for this year, and the fact that we've created a year-long coaching session. It's like we're coaching you for really the first 3 quarters, and then the last quarter will be a review of everything we've gone over. So this is very impactful, and it can be very impactful. It can be impactful for anybody that you say, hey, check this out, and share it with. And it started in January with the first quarter of Know Thyself, and we talked about awareness, talked about acknowledging and accepting, and then accountability. And now we're in the second quarter, which is capabilities. I mean, understanding what's possible, or what's possible. And we're in the month of understanding and capabilities. So we started off with emotions, and we're just going to keep adding on. And we're learning and growing as we're doing this for you.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we shouldn't even say we're doing it for you. We're doing it with you, because we're just doing, preparing and doing the research. But in the end, we're still learning as we go, and then
Yes.
learning from whatever you all contribute. So we're very grateful to all the comments that you've put to be able to open up that line of communication. So thank you so much.
I think everything that we have discussed since January has, as you said, it's enlightened us in ways that it was like a boomerang. We knew it left, it returned, that sort of thing. Because life does get in a way sometimes of holding on to what's dear, and then it's like what's that? A buoy? What's that thing you throw in the water so someone won't drown? That
A
it.
lifesaver.
You ain't catching me up in there. So
A lifesaver.
um and sometimes we are our own lifesavers just by engaging in conversations with others, or even just tuning in to listen to others having conversations. Our we get aroused by certain conversations that stimulate our thought process so much that is actually feeding our souls, and we don't realize it then. And so we walk away, and then we're having a conversation, and we're talking about what we just overheard, what we participated in. And that's how we pay it forward. That is the kindness and gratitude that we have been sharing that we do not realize. Since the beginning, oh, look at Luis de España. Buenos días, Luis. So when we go on and we are sharing this kindness and gratitude, that's the whole purpose of everything. But then the actual absorbance of the information that has aroused something within you, that like it makes you want to go and share. So I'm thinking, how amazing that that I am. All jokes aside, I was seeing if the badass Buddha was paying attention, and she's obviously not. So when we go and we arouse ourselves enough to stay and listen, to absorb that information and then share it forward, then you are that vessel, you are that blessing, you are many things that equals like gratitude, the gratitude of living and walking. And when you're grateful, and when you're cheerful, when you're sharing good things, remember that the sorrow must come in. The sorrow always sweeps in, and it's not to ruin what we have, which many of us have accused. It is to remind us of what we must hold on to. Take it away.
Yes, you caught me while I was sharing. So hold on a
Oh, I'm
moment.
sorry. That's
It's okay. And you know what?
pizza.
You're all set. You could share as well, because usually you sometimes said
Well,
you have.
yeah, I was waiting on you. Hello, Gwen. Good morning. Buenos
Yes.
dias.
So, yeah, this is going to be a wonderful I mean, they're all wonderful conversations. They're all relevant, even if you think it's not. Like, let's say you are looking at the title going, like, I don't want to talk about sorrow. I don't mind talking about joy, but why do we have to talk about sorrow? You have to talk about both, because they're both absolutely, as Gladiator said, they're both relevant. And we're going to explain to you why. And we talked about anger and the importance of anger and sometimes how anger is misunderstood. We
Mm-hmm.
talked about that last week, but now we're going to be talking about, people are always searching and seeking to be joyful. Like that's the big thing. Everybody says, oh, you want to be joyful, you want to be blissful. And it's wonderful. It's a very high vibrational state to be in. And sorrow and anger are not, but that doesn't mean they don't have places. And so we're going to talk about the joys of sorrow. We're going to talk about the joys of joy, but we're going to talk about the necessity of both and recognizing how they play roles in your life. So we're going to get into our conversation in a moment. We're going to set our intention. We're going to do our mantra. And we would also love if you would like, share, follow, subscribe, do all those fun things. Let everybody know that you're in here today. So maybe they can contribute. Maybe it's something that they need to hear today. We would love to have them on. So thank you so much for those of you that are here. Absolutely, for being here. And so let's set our intention. What do you think, Gladiator Guru? And we'll do our mantra.
Vale.
Okay. So, as always, on Viva Cafe con Leche, we want you to go with intention. Make your day intentional. So set your intention, whether you set it right now, set it after the show. You could set it multiple times throughout the day if you want to change your intention. But either way, just go intentional. Like be intentional in what you do today. And
do it in gratitude. Let me tell you, yesterday I was intentionally not doing anything. And at one moment I caught myself like, oh my God, I have to be doing this. I should be doing this. But my body said, no, baby girl. We are going to rest. And so I got up and I did stuff, and then I would always come right back. And I was okay. I was no longer doing what I used to do, and that like get upset with me because I wasn't doing what I believed I should have been doing. So I intentionally sat my ass down in gratitude yesterday. So it doesn't mean be grateful because you completed something or you did this. Just be grateful that you're acknowledging your mere existence and saying, I'm not going to do anything today because I'm tired mentally, spiritually, and physically. And then do that. And if you want to set an intentional time limit on yourself and be grateful that you rested for 2 hours, or you ebb and flow, honey, ebb and flow throughout the day. I had nowhere to be yesterday. So
I love that you said that. You're saying that even if you're not doing anything, be grateful. And because we have this tendency as humans to always want to be doing something, right? And then we guilt ourselves. Oh my gosh, I'm just laying around doing nothing. I did nothing that I had thought about doing today. And then if you could say to yourself, well, maybe that my intention then was to rest. My intention was to do nothing. And then it's kind of giving you permission to say, well, then I achieved that. That's kind of nice to flip it and to say, I'm grateful because my body must have been stronger than my mind saying, listen, I know what you're saying up here that you want to do this and that today, but I think we need to just rest today. So I'm going to make you really heavy and really lazy so that you listen to what I'm asking for. And then you just do it. And then you say, thank you.
gracias. You know why? Because we believe that, like you said, if we're not doing something, and I am practicing my spirituality to the core, that I am being grateful of my decision to rest. So if I intentionally decided, I just worked a 16-hour shift, came home, slept 4 hours, and went back to work for another 8-hour shift, and then today I'm off. So guess what? I am grateful that I am acknowledging that I'm not that 20-year-old anymore, or maybe that 30-year-old, and I'm going to do what I can when I can throughout the day, but I am going to do it with love, respect, and admiration for myself. And that was my intention yesterday. And then I went and I did some work on my laptop, and then I realized that I created a board of 104 separate pages with designs and quotes. And I obviously didn't save it correctly because they're lost. And then I was going to get upset. And then I said, you know what? I'm not going to get upset. This is what I said intentionally. I'm not going to get upset. I'm just not going to do shit today. I'm going to recreate it tomorrow. And maybe the intention was something needed to be tweaked. So all is not lost if I can do it again. If I have the desires and the ambition and the intention to do it again, then I am grateful.
I know that feeling, man. I know I've had that happen to me as well. And you're right. It's rather than ruminate on it, you let it go, and that's good, and redirect it. Because when people say, it's like we could say it was meant to be that way. People are like, what are you kidding? It wasn't meant to be that way, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, even if it wasn't, talking about it does not change the fact that it's not there. That they're no longer there. So it's like, what does it matter how you say it? It's just moving forward, moving on.
But Carmencita, buenos días. Listen, I've always been like that though. Like I'll have a Tourette syndrome moment, and then I'm like, well, and I can do, but I'm gonna tell you what I'm not gonna do is get all caught up in that again. I need time to think. So I've always been that person, which has led others who don't understand my methodology of life, that I don't care, that I didn't think that thing was so important like everybody else did, or the deadline's coming up. And, I've always been whimsical. So it's about what you do and what you're going to allow to get. I have gotten upset and carried it for days over simpler stuff that I no longer care to entertain anymore. So the word intentions is funny because it is a very powerful word, is it not, badass?
Yep, absolutely.
Be intentional. Intentions, good intentions, very powerful.
Good intentions. Intentional doesn't mean good or bad. It just means to be just
ongoing. Yeah. Well,
people could have bad intentions and be really good at being intentional.
Yeah. But it depends who's saying it's a bad intention.
True enough.
Like if I stand up for something I believe in, then my supervisor might think that I'm being intentionally disrespectful. When no, I'm just correcting your ass.
Right.
So anyway, You see, but it was all because of Carmen Nieves. That at one point was her go-to word. And so we incorporated it into the Viva thing because, to be intentional. And instead of saying, I'm just going to do whatever the hell I want. Well, guess what? Now I'm going to do whatever the hell I want with intention. So you see, it makes it a very positive sentence now when I add that. And it works. So, Carmencita. But let's do our mantra.
Okay, so
great conversation to talk about today.
Say it loud, say it proud. I am a disruptor.
I am a disruptor.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am spiritually grounded.
I am spiritually grounded.
I am magically orgasmic.
Ole.
And I keep it real.
For a day, no doubt. Let's do this.
Okay, so we are talking about, we're still in Understanding and Capabilities Month. You need to just not get off the thing, honey. You need to just close off your video. This way we still see that you're present.
I didn't even know that I took my.
You do that whatever you got.
That was my intention, and unfortunately, it wasn't in my favor.
Just hit the stop cam. This way we still have your presence there, but this way, in case anybody's tuning in and they're like, "Oh, I really wanted to see Gladiator Guru, but I just see badass."
And I'm not there. But yes, vale. Let's do this.
No, just hit stop cam, and then it'll go to the Viva page. So we're good. Okay, so we're talking about capabilities. We're talking about understanding self further. Okay. And we're talking about emotions. We're talking about what you're capable of. We're talking about who you are, because you've discovered this. You've discovered this the last quarter. So now we're starting off with emotions, because maybe emotions came up for you in your path of self-discovery for the first quarter. And a lot of times we've we have this idea that certain emotions are good and certain emotions are bad, and we want to suppress the bad emotions, not thinking that they all hold a place, they all have a purpose, and it's not about sequestering them. It's about acknowledging them, respecting them, and asking them what they're trying to tell you, what message is trying to come through, and what information are you gathering, and what did you learn from this, and how is that going to change you going forward. And that's the beauty of allowing emotions to come out. And what's interesting is the more respectful you are to your emotions, the less swinging you tend to do, as far as happy 1 minute and then really pissed off 1 minute, happy 1 minute, really upset 1 minute, frustrated, all those things. And with quote, the negative emotions, we seem to, again, vibrate at a higher level, where we have the more peaceful emotions, where we feel more aligned, where we feel more joyful, where we feel more enlightened, that we feel connected. And those are higher vibrational energies, right? The lower vibrational ones are not bad, they're necessary. So let's not group them as bad or good. Let's just group them as low vibration, high vibration. And the low vibration, we need to be in that space for that period of time. High vibration is more expanded and we're more open. Okay, so let's talk about sorrow and joy. So Gladiator Guru, I know you said you wanted to take some notes. I don't want to put you on the spot. Did you take any notes on this? Did you define sorrow, joy? What do you,
Well,
or do you
yeah.
have
Happy. To be happy is to know. I mean, is to believe, right? I believe I'm happy. I believe life is grand. But to carry joy means you know. There's a knowing. See, to believe is one thing and to know is another. So happy and joy are two different things. Happy, anything can make us happy. Favorite song comes on, somebody makes your café con leche to perfection for you. You put on a new outfit and it makes you feel like a runway model. I mean, that is to be happy. It is a choice. You choose to have everything around you make you happy, because why not? But to carry an innate, deep to the core joy is to know that you are enough. It is to know that no one, anywhere, can take anything from you, because you are joy. You have a knowing that runs deep into your core and nobody can take from you. And that's that. Now, to be sad is also a choice, because sometimes we become sad over things that take up time. Either we're pausing for something, but the sorrow, that's like a shattered heart, and the pieces are laying deep in your soul. And that sorrow just stays there. And no matter how much you laugh and how much you try to be happy, until you tap into that sorrow, you cannot kintsugi your heart. So the pieces are just like in limbo. So what is it? Death, grief, sorrow, death. It's just, I have that because I wrote that. It's just life, laughter, and rebirth turned inside out. So when we look at, for everything we touch that is good, there's something that is not, and vice versa. When something bad happens, just stay strong, because the sun will shine the next morning. The darkness only lasts until the sun rises. And that's how it is with sorrow. But in order to connect with that sorrow, you must connect with that sorrow. Because just like we need the rain to grow, to nourish the seeds that were born in the darkness, the sun will come to enlighten our lives so that we may benefit from that seed that grew from darkness into the light, to nourish us, whether it's to show us that beauty exists out of darkness, or it is to feed us, because a lot of our foods also grow from the dirt. So the sorrow, the happiness, the joy and sorrow, it's needed. And it's like that stepbrother or that stepmother that you just don't want, but they play a major role in your upbringing. That's happiness and sorrow. You need it. You may not welcome it at the moment. Who the hell wants to say, "Oh, I'm filled with sorrow"? But the minute you acknowledge it and confess it, and you say it out loud, it loses its grip on you. What's your take, Laura?
I believe both. I agree with everything that you said. I believe that sorrow and joy are very deep felt, very inner, very deep within feelings. And when we take the moment to really honor both of them, it's easy to honor joy. I mean, everybody wants to be joyful, but the sorrow piece, some people feel certain way about sorrow. Sometimes they can feel guilty about it. Sometimes they feel angry about it. Sometimes they feel shameful about it. But when you can embrace it and say, I'm feeling, I have much sorrow today, and just let it ride, let it be there, talk to it, and maybe it doesn't want to talk to you. Maybe it just wants to feel that way. Then allow yourself to feel that way, because it's deep. It's a loss. Sorrow is you were connected to something or someone, and you've lost it, or it's not something that it's not, you're not connected to it anymore. So that's where the lost piece comes from. Or you don't feel connected to it anymore, because you could lose somebody and then feel disconnected, but at some point still feel connected. And when you're connected, the sorrow is not there anymore, because you feel that connection. So sometimes people think missing somebody brings them to sorrow. It's just a fleeting sadness. Sorrow is a little bit deeper. And when you talk to it and say, what is causing my sorrow? Where am I feeling sorrowful? Why? And if there's no answer, just let it sit there and just let it happen. Just breathe through it. Do what you need to do to nurture yourself. And then when all is said and done, because at some point you come out of it, for some people, it could be days, it could be weeks that they're in that place. It could be months, but check in with yourself. I'm feeling this sort of way. Okay, why is it that I'm feeling this way? Don't yell at it. Don't say it's not okay to feel this way.
But don't feed it.
Right, exactly. You just be with it. You just honor it. You just be with it. And you say, like, oh, you should be over this by now. Like, you shouldn't be feeling this way anymore. Don't should on yourself. That's guilting yourself. That's shaming yourself. Just let it be, and know the difference. If you feel there's that part of you that says, I really want to be moved forward. I want to move forward. I don't want to be in this place anymore. Then you're aware of it. And if you're finding it hard to get out of that place, that acknowledgement is going to help you seek assistance if you do have trouble getting out of there. Because a lot of times people feel like there's this understanding of, okay, so like let's use the loss of somebody as a, because Gladiator Guru lost her mom a couple of years ago. I lost my dad in December. People have very, very specific ideas of how long a person should grieve and be sorrowful for the loss of somebody. But it's different for every single person, right? Truly different. It depends on the relationship they had. It depends on the relationship they have with death. It depends on, who they are as a person. Did they feel guilty about something? Did they feel very complete and connected with that person? Were there unresolved issues? So there's so many things, okay? So there's really no specific time frame, but I think, quote, society says that, there's a certain amount of months that could take, but once you get past that, maybe you're at a point where you're just ruminating in it, that you're not allowing yourself to heal. And the one way to really see it, especially, is with joy. If you are in a sorrowful state with the loss of somebody, or even something, you lost a job, your marriage ended, your children moved away, and now you're feeling like lonely. Okay. All those things, if you could have moments though of joy. So somebody starts to bring a memory back to that deceased person. If somebody starts to talk about, hey, listen, that job, it was great, but then it started to not be great and you're not in it anymore. So now you're moving on to bigger, better things. And when people start to bring joy into the mix and have that moment of joy, however long lasting it is, could be moments, it could be hours, that shows you that you have both of those elements there, that the sorrow is allowing you space to work on yourself and heal and come to terms with the loss, that disconnection. And then the joy is going to allow you to expand and open yourself to other possibilities. And so at that moment when you can pull yourself from the sorrow and move to the joy, take that and sit with it and acknowledge yourself that you got to that joyful place. Don't guilt yourself. Oh, I shouldn't feel this way. I shouldn't blah, blah, blah. If I may, I know I've been talking a lot, Gladiator Group, but just want to share an example of this. Years ago, when my mom's mother died, my mom's mom was the matriarch of our family. Like, we would all go to her house and we would all just pile into her. Her house wasn't even particularly big, but we would all pile in there every other Sunday and have the 7-course, dinner, and we would have, there'd be music on, there'd be dancing. Sometimes some of the boys would have sports on, whatever. It was always good fun. So when my grandmother passed away, she passed away in, I think it was the beginning of November, like with the first week of November. And my mom was very distraught. I was 14 at the time. And my mom was very distraught, very depressed about it. And I remember her saying, as Christmas was drawing near, she said, "We're not putting up a Christmas tree." And I was like, what? And she felt that it would be a dishonor to her mother if she put up a tree and was joyful for the holidays. Now, I didn't understand this at 14. I just got pissed. I was like, what are you talking about? But that's stupid. That's ridiculous. And I got mad at her and I was vocal about it. And then she just gave in. She's just, okay, fine, we'll put up a tree. Either way, like, the anger that I had towards her and the vocalization I had about it was, it wasn't okay. I'll admit that now. I look back at it and say, but that's how I handled myself at that moment in time. But the opposite element too is for her to say, I'm so sad that it's the right thing to do is to not have any joy in this house, not have celebration because my mother is not here. That was how she felt. I felt a certain way. Neither of them were wrong. But looking back what I learned from this is the thing. As I learned, I looked at it and said, life continues. And when someone passes, we still need to celebrate the life that's here. We still need to, and we need to celebrate the person's life that is no longer here. And to squash things squash joy because it's getting in the way of the sorrow, I don't agree with. Now, that's me. This is my own personal thing, because I feel that it gives us permission to just keep ourselves fixed and closed. What are your thoughts on that, Gladiator Guru?
We do. It is. Listen, everything is a choice, and I'm glad you brought that up, because sometimes when we're young, we're idiots, and we don't take into account everything around us, or the grieving, like you said earlier, everybody grieves different for a different amount of time. And you said she's the matriarch, so I could imagine the emptiness and loneliness that this child felt.
Yes,
that this
I agree.
huge important person in the family is no longer here.
Right, exactly.
On a holiday where families always gathered. So that must have been something that probably changed the whole trajectory of her life going forward.
It could be, yeah.
And
or at least it did for a very long time. I've seen her change over the years, but in the beginning, yes, I agree.
So when you think about about the sorrow and how long it lasts, you're absolutely right. How dare anybody tell anybody, well, you can't mourn because there's other people involved. And how long are you going to mourn for? Oh my God, listen, my father, it'll be 16 years this June that he passed away. And it still feels like yesterday.
Right.
I just celebrated my husband's 6 years of passing and my mother's 2 years of passing. And yesterday I'm going through TikTok with Mateo, and he's like amazed of all the hearts that I received. And then he's like, look at grandma. And I got choked up. Like, he's like, oh, that's grandma. She died. And I said, yeah. I said, I know. It's my mommy. And I missed her. And then I felt myself getting choked up. So that morning is going to come at any given time, at any moment, because that's what, some sorrow is so deep within, it is sewn into the tapestry of your soul. And
Yeah.
how do you don't
No, and you don't have
let it
to.
lay and let it glow, because that's what it's going to do.
That's
Now,
exactly right.
Carl Jung is for anybody who knows me knows I love philosophy, and I have a lot of people that I love to quote. And Carl Jung said something, and I wrote it, and it's so not only important for us to remember, but it's just truth. And it says, no tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. Now, I felt it because it's like, that saying, fall down 7 times, rise like the phoenix on the 8th, and that's how it is, that it explains why darkness occurs before the light and can shine on our divine path. So even if we're sad, if we're sorrowful, if we choose to be happy, but the sorrow's that underlying, walkway that we're on, the sun is always going to shine. You're always going to wake up to the sun shining, to the sky opening up, and it's going to be bright, no matter how it is you feel. Now, what you do is you take around, good morning, Natasha, you take that sorrow, Selena, and you learn how to navigate every day through it. And as every day you push yourself to commence with the day and work and be present for yourself throughout the day, the sorrow that was added on starts to peel away. It's like dust off your shoulders in the sun. Oh, okay, I don't need this. And you start coming into yourself. But you must be aware that you are there. You must be aware that, I am sad, but I don't want to carry this anymore. And as you say that, you wake up to yourself. And then the sorrow becomes less and less, because I can't take your sorrow away. Nobody's book, no matter how good it is, can take your sorrow away.
Right.
You can listen to church sermons all day on your TV. It's not going to take your sorrow away.
And we shouldn't believe we could. Believe we could or should take away the sorrow. It's not for us to do that.
But people
because they feel uncomfortable, uncomfortable with it. It's about them. When we want to pull somebody's mood, it's because we feel uncomfortable with their mood.
Insecure.
And sorrow. Yeah.
Sorrow is and insecure people with no vision, and I don't care who gets offended, because the truth is the truth is the truth. When you are insecure, you get offended easily. You're offended by what everybody says, or you hurt my feelings. Well, take that shit over there in the back, because that's not, And the thing is that they're constantly in this sad mode. And those are the same people that blame everybody for their sorrow, but expect everybody to help them get over it. By not saying the truth to them, by not reminding them that it's an inside job, because you don't understand. And the thing is that, what? A lot of people believe that if you be nice to me because I'm sad. Yeah, be nice to people. We should always be kind to people. That's not even something that should be debatable. I don't care what I'm going through. It doesn't give me a hall pass to be rude or cruel to anybody. But remember, mi gente, The same thing for me, the same thing for the badass Buddha. It's your issues are not my responsibility. I am not here to fix you. I did not break you. Shit, I have a hard time gluing my own damn pieces back together. But we have expectations that everybody should understand us, and by understanding us, they're fixing us, not realizing that when you expect people to understand you, you don't do the work. And if you don't do the work, then nobody can help fix you. It's
and
an inside job, and sorrow dwells within.
and
That's what I'm
that's
saying.
and the key thing is that the more you understand yourself, the easier it is to understand others as well. So if you have to still work on yourself through sorrow, through joy, even, like, not, we think that with joy there's no work there either. But think about it this way: if you get joyful at somebody's downfall, let's say, if that brings you joy to watch somebody suffer, or somebody hit the skids, or somebody, that has, you have to, now that's, yes, that's true, it's a high vibrational energy, but the intention behind it also, that's what you have to also consider. And so these are all things that you have to look at, and you're looking at yourself, you're looking at within, to be able to understand the outside world. Because somebody who's saying, oh, you don't understand, I'm sad, I'm this, they're basically saying, I want you to feel sorry for me, I'm a victim, and I really want to keep myself in that victim mode. But you don't look at them and say, don't look at them, I suppose, and really feed into it necessarily. Don't say they're wrong. Like, either way, just observe it, and then, put it on yourself. If they're pissing you off, then why are they pissing you off? If they're making you sad, why are they making you sad? By their behavior, by the situation that's going on with you. And then do the work internally. For many years, I mean, I lived with depression. My mood swings were terrible, as far as, most of the time I could get frustrated, but a lot of times I was very, like, I cried at everything. I would sit and want to be left alone. And then I thought, oh my God, this is such a weakness. I don't want to be that way. And when I started to come out of that, and I started to transform my life, I didn't worry about that so much, which really made a huge difference, because I let it go. Because when you don't worry, you're letting it go. But then I would say sometimes, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be crying all the time. I want to be tougher. I don't want to be like, be sensitive. And I thought of it as a bad thing. So I kind of swung the opposite way. Then I realized something about myself, that I need moments of sorrow. I need to tap into that sorrow sometimes. And sometimes it's not connected to anything. It just comes up. And what I do is I feed it, I nourish it, and allow it to come up. So sometimes it'll be just a few minutes. Sometimes it would be an hour. Sometimes it might be longer, like for the rest of the night. I'm just in that headspace. Okay. And I do what needs to be done for myself to nourish it. So maybe it's that if it's one of those rest of the night things, I will quietly go back into my room and just put the TV on and watch something that will pull it out. Watch something that I get emotional over. Maybe it's a happy sad, or it's a dramatic sad, but it pulls out. I cry. It's very cathartic for me. Sometimes if it's just minutes, I'll listen to a song and it'll make me cry, and then it comes out. But this is what I learned about myself, that with that sorrow, it's like a pressure cooker. It's like when it comes up, it's like, okay, I'm honoring you. Let me just let the pressure out a little bit at a time. And then as soon as all the pressure's out, we're past this, and we're going to feel so much better. And I do. And then I'm much more joyful. I'm more relaxed. And then I'm grateful for that experience. I feel better. And sometimes the sorrow will kick in if I'm pissed off about something. Like if I'm angry about something, the anger then will push into sorrow. And I prefer it, because I'm better at letting go of sorrow than I am at anger. So anger, anger and I still have a we have a lot of conversations because anger stands up for me. Anger is my protector. Anger is my bodyguard. And for so many years, I went seeking it outside because I was bullied for so many years of my life. So anger is there, and anger is wonderful, and sometimes not willing to give up the power. So I have to let it know it's okay. But it's beautiful though that I've gotten to know my emotions and not be mad at them, not be embarrassed by them, not be guilted by them, to just honor them and listen to them and let them express themselves and be mindful about it, because I don't want to just be willy-nilly. I've had my moments of expressing myself reactively. Um, but I've learned to not regret it, because that was something that the pressure cooker opened up a little too quick, and the pressure got out really quickly. Why? What happened? What did I learn from it? And what can I do better? I'm sorry, I have a lot to say on this. So you go.
No, I just think, no, that was good. I just think, when you acknowledge that we are ugly and beautiful, then we acknowledge that we are joyous and sorrowful and that we are happy and sad. When we acknowledge that we are heaven and hell, then we can go in deep and discover that that means that we are warriors in this world. We are spirits that are very powerful, but yet we stay stuck on stupid and only want to keep peeling the scabs off the wounds or being the woe is me persona that gets triggered with everything. And Badass Buddha would tell you beautiful stories and explain things to you. I'm going to keep it real. When you
I'm not
continue
keeping
to
it real.
walk down a lane of accusations, of a damsel in distress, or that hurt my feelings, or don't remind me of that because it's going to put me somewhere. Again, take ownership of the life that you are living. You know, the body that you're in, the spirit that you are. We must take ownership because sorrow is joy. It's just turned inside out, just like failure and success. In order for you to be joyous, you have to feel the sting of sorrow. That's just life. That is the balance of life. How long you want to sit in it, it's totally up to you, because people tell you, be joyous, be happy, just live your life that way. That is all good and dandy, and that's true. There's no time limit on being happy and joyous. But there's always seems to be a time limit to be sad and sorrowful.
Yeah, or angry,
And
or
right?
negative
And
stuff. Yes.
yes, and the thing is that, hold on, because the doorbell's ringing. Hold on, and nobody's here. But continue on with that one subject. Life is rainbows and sunshine and thunderstorms and lightning.
Yeah. That's how
And
you get
when
there.
we remember this, then the sorrow, is there. The sadness and sorrow are there. That's the older sibling and the younger sibling. The older sibling is sorrow, but you must acknowledge it. Why? Because without any of that, you will not be successful. You would not grow up to have dreams and visions. You would not know what it is. In order to enjoy a good meal, you have to have felt the pains of hunger. You have to have been thirsty in order to have that parchness quenched. You have to taste both and then decide and which side of the spectrum you want to live, or do you want to balance it out and walk back and forth, but stay in the middle? When you're confused, walk back and forth, because sometimes that sting of sorrow wakes us the hell up to say, oh, I better get my ass moving on this. I was supposed to have had this done and now I didn't. And it's all about self. It's not about how people perceive you. Get off of that wagon. Do good so you can be good. Be good so you can do good. That is your only choice, however people perceive it. If you walk in your truth and you're doing things with kindness, then however people perceive it, it's their business, not yours. But hold on, Lord.
Oh, they must have left by now. The bottom line is this: all your emotions, that's the beauty of being a human, is that we experience these instead of looking at them as labeling as bad and not good, and I don't want to feel this way, and I have to cover this up, and this isn't good, I can only stay this way for this long. Even joy, people who really live in anger, people who are very distrustful, people who are wanting to play the victim role or wanting not to be the victim, they hold themselves in that state of being, that emotion, and they don't want to be joyful because it's considered a sign of weakness. If I'm joyful, I'm not vigilant. If I'm joyful, I'm not paying attention. If I'm joyful, people are going to take advantage. And they come from that lack mindset. What if we flip it and just say, no matter what, I'm grateful. If I'm angry, let me be in the anger. Let me see what's going on. What does it want? What am I learning from this? What am I do? What is it asking me to do? Anger tends to be of a immediate take action thing. Sorrow is sitting. Sorrow is more passive. It just sits there. You kind of wallow in it sometimes. But what is it asking me to do? What is it here for? What am I learning from this? And then the joy is the opposite of them. The joy is the state that it can bring you to. And say, well, you know what? I feel better for having released that. I feel better for having known that person. I feel better for having been in that situation. Even if it was a traumatic situation, even if it was a traumatic person, that's something that I constantly go back and forth with. The unhealed elements of myself will always resort back to anger, will always resort back to sorrow. And the goal for me is to keep that in check for brief periods of time and then say, I'm thankful for having been here. I'm thankful that it wasn't long lasting. What did I learn from this? And what am I going to do differently? Because my what's the word I'm looking for? My goal for myself, my intention, I don't even want to say it's intention. I'm striving, my path to enlightenment, let's put it that way, is to be a kind person, is to be compassionate, empathetic, non-judgmental, live a mindful life. That's what I strive to do. And when something pulls me back into a direction that I feel is backwards, it's just reminding me that that's a wound that was not healed. And I need to work on it because I want to work on it. It's not that I need to. I want to. I want to work on those wounds and heal them, and then move forward from there. And so that my life will be joyful. And then I look at joy, I look at sorrow, and I look at anger with necessity, open arms, saying they're welcome in my life, to say, okay, you came in here for a reason. What is it that you need me to do? Remember, anger is the one that's immediate. That's the one that's making you get off and take an action. Sorrow is more passive. Let me sit with this for a little while. And joy is the bouncy one going, thank you, thank you, thank you for everything. I'm very happy. I'm happy that we're here. I'm happy that you're here. And they're connected and loving everybody. But I've learned to embrace them all, not get upset, not feel guilty, not feel regretful because I expressed myself, but learn from that expression. And if apologies need to be made, they will be made. If I don't feel they do, then they won't. But no regrets. I spent almost my entire life being that person, regretting, not speaking up for myself, taking a step back, always being in the shadow. And that's where all those other emotions came from. All that depression, all that anxiety was from that. But it's liberating when you own your emotions and you honor your emotions and then ask them, what is it that you're trying to tell me? What is it that you want to share with me? What can we do together? What did I learn, and what am I going to do differently?
Yep. And you said something, when you have all those emotions, then it's so easy to project them on someone else.
course.
Don't lie to yourself. You know, I cannot express nunca te engañe, stop lying to yourself, don't lie to yourself enough to people, because especially the badass Buddha and I were having this conversation how in 2020 all these mindfulness coaches popped up like slut magic, and they're all saying like pretty much the same thing. And the thing is that be mindful of who you are. You cannot like remove people around you until you know who the hell you are.
Sure.
Sorrow, you know, it's easy to express. You know, you look forlorn, you don't do your hair, you know, you nothing makes you smile. People work very hard to make you laugh, to make you happy, and it doesn't work because we don't know how to express it, how to tell you. We can show you because our body's gonna give it, but it's hard to like express it. But you know, there's a quote, and who is it? Ralph Waldo
Emerson.
Ralph Waldo Emerson. Yeah, he says sorrow looks back, worry looks around, yet faith looks up. And
Ooh, say that again. Say it one more time.
sorrow looks back, worry looks around, and faith looks up.
Oh, I love that.
And you know, it's always your choice. And although people can cause your sorrow, it is still your responsibility to release it. And it is
Yes.
your fault for holding on to it. Remember that. Although people will and may cause your sorrow, it is your responsibility. And it is your fault. It is your responsibility to release it, and it is your fault for holding on to it. Not theirs. They already did their job. They already came to disrupt, whether it was a godsend or the devil just wants to get in your way. It's a spiritual warfare. But it is up to you with your spirit and your soul connected, knowing, this is the knowing, whether it is worth your time or not. Are you valued above what someone did to you, or are you less than them that they can stomp all over you? Now that's a reality. And you know, and I'm coming from a place of abandonment. I've come from a place of abuse.
Yes.
I've come from a place where I was not protected.
Yep.
So it was my fault that I didn't allow that little girl to cry. But everything that happened to me was not because of me, but it was up to me to decide to be a victim or to rise above it. And those who know me know I've never been a victim of my circumstances, no matter who did what. And God knows I made my own poor choices. But you know, so the sorrow I felt is what I couldn't understand, and it's what I couldn't fix, which is death. So yesterday I did go get milk, and I'm at the grocery store with my niece, and you know, I said, see, it's music only in the grocery store do I listen to the music they play, which I can hear it anywhere else and it doesn't have any effect on me. But I'm in the grocery store and I hear this music they're playing, and it reaches and like it goes inside, and it's like touching me without my consent, and it goes in, and then it makes me want to cry. And even all those 48 years of me not being able to cry, I would still feel that. And I would always say, come on, God, stop teasing me. Because it was like, okay, I'm going to cry, but I would still swallow it. And you know, when you swallow a cry that's filled with sadness and sorrow, when you swallow it, my throat would hurt for a day or so because it felt like I swallowed a golf ball. But that's how real that emotion was that I would not allow to come out in tears. So as you grow older, now I cry. And now I cry, and I allow myself to cry because there's no more room for sorrow. Sadness is always going to come. That's like the rain and thunder and sunshine, and full moons and crescent moons. That's what sadness is. So it's interweaved into who we are. And sorrow's going to come and visit and treat it like company. Make it some tea, offer it some coffee. Okay, nice seeing you. Bye bye now. You have that power over your life to receive and dismiss. Not me. I can only tell you, let it go. I can only tell you, think happy thoughts. I can tell you, let's talk about it so it has less control over your mind. But it is up to you to allow it to come over for as long as the taza de cafe, and then say, okay, I'm busy. Bye bye now. Or you can let it treat you like a doormat again and just let it move in without your consent and lay up on the couch and eat potato chips, and that's it, and
Yep.
fester. It is always up to yourself how much value you place on your well being, inside and out, your mental health, your spiritual health, your physical health. Because sorrow will fuck them all up, either one at a time or all together, where you're not going to know what hit you. Because sorrow is so heavy that it will weigh you down. It will stop you from what you're doing. It will prevent you from seeing the visions of your goals and your dreams.
Well,
So, to be joyous and be sorrowful is okay when they're fleeting, but not to just make it a lifestyle.
if you view it in the way that Gladiator Guru described it, that in order to have that rainbow, you have to have the rain. Like the sun was out, sun by itself. I mean, everybody loves the sun. Sun by itself can't make the rainbow. It has to be the clouds come in, the rain comes in, then the cloud moves out, and it's the sun and the rain that makes this beautiful rainbow. And when you said about, I'm gonna, that's not the exact words, but you said about these emotions coming in and you uninvited. What if we allow them, and instead of just letting them sit there on their own, like the visual I had in my head was you're sitting on your bed or your couch, and anger or sorrow just comes and sits there, and you say, I don't want you here, and it says, well, I'm going to stay here anyway. But when we resist, that's when it persists. That's when then it stays. But what if we look at it and take the visual now and see yourself sitting on that bed or the couch, and here comes sorrow, and you say to sorrow, you reach your hand out and you say, come sit next to me. What is it that you need from me today? I'm going to listen to you. What is it? And you nurture the sorrow and you let it sit there, because with sorrow, joy is behind there. With anger, joy is behind there. But there's such great presence, and we make them a bigger presence by our reaction to them. So if we say, sorrow, what is it? Please sit next to me. What is it that you need to tell me? What is it that I need to work through? Talk to me. What do you need from me? And then sorrow will sit and tell you what it needs from you. And then you honor it. And then as soon as it's done, it's not going to stay long, because you honored it. You said, I heard you. And sorrow's going to say, you did. Thank you. And I don't need to be here anymore. I'm going to get up off this bed. I'm going to get up off this couch. And there's joy standing in the doorway, because sorrow was blocking it, because it was there. And it's the same thing with anger. So if we start to visualize these, sometimes that helps, when is to visualize an entity of sorrow just sitting there, and saying thank you for being here today. When I sit there and I'm feeling, thank you, sorrow, for being here today, because it made me connect a little bit deeper sometimes. Because that's the thing with sorrow for me. Sorrow allows me to connect deeper sometimes to things than joy does. So sorrow brings me to this level of connectedness, but then when it goes away, it opens me up even more to joy. And then I see people differently. I see people beyond what they put out. I'm seeing them deeper. And I have to tell you, I love that. I am so grateful for that has come in the last 6 to 7 months for me, is seeing people deeper. I'm still learning how to navigate that. You know, it sometimes still triggers. I know how much Gladiator Guru loves that. Sometimes triggers my own wounds that I have not healed yet. So that is making me also say, okay, then I need to work on these wounds. These are necessary for me. I've ignored these wounds, so I need to work on those because
Yes.
I love that connection. I don't want that connection to go away. And I don't want to pretend my wounds are no longer here. So they must be worked on and rectified.
Yeah, because wounds are meant to heal. So the longer you ignore, the longer they stay and fester, and then
Yes,
they add to your ugliness. The
they
When you
do.
got the wounds and you acknowledge it, but you know it's going to be, a wound that heals over time, then you know it's there. Check on it every now and again and make sure that the healing process is still moving forward. Things don't happen overnight, things don't change overnight. You might want to do something, but it's not in here yet. So although you want to do it, it's still a step-by-step process for you to get to the actual point to begin that journey. Don't beat yourself up. Just know that you are not lying to yourself and you do want to release all of this. If you don't acknowledge that you are lying to yourself and you just like the way shit sounds rolling off your tongue, you're only lying to yourself, because you might be convinced of that you're saying you're going to do something, but there's other people that are very keen on bullshit. So don't lie to yourself. It doesn't really matter what outside people think, but what matters is they know when you're lying to yourself. So then how does that projection stay on you? You must take care of yourself. Joy and sorrow, they are very important parts of your life, and treat them as such. Some stay longer than others. But before we leave, um, my favorite all-time melodic singer is Sade. And in 2000, she came out with the album King of Sorrow. And I still have that original CD that my sister Connie gave me for my birthday back in November 2000. And I'm not, it's I'm not gonna read all of the words, but you know, she says, I'm crying everyone's tears, and they're
Mhm.
inside our private war. I died the night before, and all of these remnants of joy and disaster. What am I supposed to do? She says, I want to cook you a soup that warms your soul, but nothing would change. Nothing would change at all. It's just a day that brings it all about. Just another day and nothing good. So, what it talks about is, I suppose I could just walk away. Will I disappoint my future if I stay? I'm just a king of sorrow. So I have so much to do. I have to carry on. I wonder if will this grief ever be gone? Will it ever go? I'm the king of sorrow. And a lot of us think that, but nothing can come and nothing can leave unless we give it permission.
Mhm.
So be the king of your life. Be that person that says no mas to receiving bullshit and to harboring it within you. No mas. Because of everything we've learned since January, what we know is fact. You are the most important person in your life.
Mhm.
And the best way to live it, to live your purpose with passion until your last breath, is to not lie to yourself. And it is to accept the good and the bad. And that is to be intentionally grateful for the life you are living and the walk you are walking, because it's not paved with gold. That's the road to hell. It was paved with good intentions. So live intentionally in gratitude, because then that will let you look at things and surmise, is this good for me or is it not? because we walk through life like a magnet, picking up all bullshit, all unnecessary garbage, and then we wonder why we feel way down, why we can't move forward, why we don't have the ambition or the desires or the energy to move forward. So take it as what it is. It is joy and it is sorrow. And don't let people tell you only joy should fit in your life. You need them both. You need them both to be balanced so that you can value the life you are living. Because it only you can live that life. And it's only one. So live it well. And with that,
So we have an assignment for you. We want you, and this is going to be really good for Thursday's conversation. Just quickly make a list of what it is that makes you angry, what it is that makes you sorrowful, and what it is that makes you joyful. Make a little list. Identify those things that piss you off. Identify the things that bring you joy. Identify the things that make you that bring up the sorrow, and sit with it, because the conversation on Thursday is about resiliency. Because now what we're going to talk to you about is we're going to talk to you about how strong you actually are. And it's a result of everything that you experienced, including these emotions. So please do make that list, even if it's just a couple of items here and there, but we all have them. We all have stuff that makes us angry. We all have stuff that makes us feel sorrow. And we all have stuff that makes us feel joy. So make that list and we'll see you on Thursday.
yes, do it. Do it for you, not because we're asking. Do it for you to discover new things about yourself because you're amazing and you're brilliant and you're a box of surprises. So go out, make the list, and surprise your ass. Surprise yourself.
Okay.
Like, oh my God, people drinking out my cup makes me angry. Who would have thunk it? That sort of stuff. You know, watching a old couple holding hands down in the mall. That makes me feel so much joy.
Yeah,
Pay attention to your life because you are skipping so many important parts that bring you joy and make you angry, and you're not having the conversation with yourself. So make that, do the assignment, do it for you.
And with that, from the Badass Buddha, remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary.
And from the Gladiator Guru, mi gente, remember to breathe in the beauty and breathe out the bullshit. Namaste.